had a lot of stories of failures, almost 5 to 6 ideas we failed.
Was there any hesitation that after, 5 attempts at starting up, that the 6th attempt would be pankha bana rahe ho?
So people from incubation center, they were also stunned कि यार pankha, and this time they thought कि we have gone crazy. I got placed, by the way, in ISRO. Being a government job background, my parents were very happy. I lied to them that I got an extension and I can join back ISRO after 1 year. We got into some chawl outside IIT-Bombay.
And then the Eureka moment happened while you were sitting in your chawl and looking up at the ceiling.
It was a Sunday afternoon, and me and Manoj were actually lying down on the bed. Manoj said, why don't you just go and change the regulator? And I was saying, no, why don't you go? And that is the time when he started saying, why don't you have a smart fan?
Competition definitely tried to mimic, but that newness and differentiation doesn't come.
To evolve on technology, you'll have to have the R&D DNA, which some of the competition have lost a long back. And it was very hard to explain that you just cannot build DNA with a large balance sheet.
So an IPO then is the most likely option?
Next year, we'll definitely planning to hit. Want to make India a powerhouse of technology.
Before my marriage, I think, I was almost broke. After marriage, after 6 months, we not only have
A life transformed.
Yeah, I think our life transformed. So I give a lot of credit to my wife for that.
They were told you can't take on legacy giants like Havells, Crompton, Bajaj or Usha in the consumer durable space. But 2 IIT-Bombay graduates dared to ask, why not? Hello and welcome to Young Turks Reloaded. I'm Shereen Bhan. From near shutdown moments to crossing 1,000 crore rupees in revenue, Atomberg Technologies has gone from being the fan startup to now one of India's most loved consumer brands. At the heart of it are its founders, engineers turned entrepreneurs who bet on BLDC motor technology. We'll tell you what that is in just a second, when nobody else would, turning ceiling fans into smart, energy-efficient appliances that are now found in over 1 crore homes. Today, Atomberg is more than just fans. It's mixer grinders, juicers, water purifiers, and even smart locks. Backed by marquee investors and honored with Global Innovation Awards, it's on a mission to redefine home appliances with technology at its core. But can this challenger brand go global? Joining me now are Atomberg's founder and CEO Manoj Meena and co-founder and COO Sibabrata Das. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us here on Young Turks Reloaded. It's a wonder that the two of you have been now operating since 2012, but this is the very first time that the two of you are doing an interview together.
Yeah.
Right? So congratulations on making your debut on Young Turks Reloaded. But, here's where I want to start. And Manoj, you're from Dausa in Rajasthan. Sibabrata, you're from Kachar in Assam and then moved to Guwahati. One would have imagined that getting to IIT-Bombay in itself was a big deal for the two of you. And then you would have wanted secure, comfortable jobs that gave you the guarantee of a safety net. Yet, you decided to give all of that up and you decided to start up. I want to understand from you, Manoj, why and when did that idea of wanting to start up come about?
Thank you. Since my childhood, I've been super keen in building stuff from my hands. Used to play with toys, build electronic stuff. Used to participate a lot in scientific projects. Got an opportunity at IIT to pursue this passion. And during college, I used to participate a lot in robotic competitions. Right? And I used to borrow money from friends to build these fancy robots and go outside campus, participate in the competitions. And luckily, we were able to win, and celebrate that prize money after that. And that passion I was able to pursue and continue during my college days. But I got exposed to incubation center during my final year at the campus, and got to know about that entrepreneurship is also something, which you can pursue beyond.
It's a career option.
It's a career option, and I personally wanted to, do some meaningful impact. And I strongly believe that if you're an engineer, why don't we apply that engineering learnings in solving mass products, mass consumer products? So that was a thing always there. But how to start?
It was in the back of your mind, but you didn't have a plan in terms of how you would translate that into reality, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you ended up meeting Sibabrata. You were not roommates in college, but you were hostel mates and wing mates. Yeah. And that's, for you, that's where his passion of entrepreneurship rubbed off on you? How did it happen?
I came to IIT. In my second year, I think, I had one small idea. So I'm from Assam. So Assam silk was very popular for.
Yeah.
So there's one buyer in Dubai who wanted to buy something, in silk, because he was buying it from Bhagalpur earlier. So I said, why don't you try Assam also, right? So there one or two transitions we did, figure out it's not something that we can scale being in college. Then in third year, we built a website development company. Like it was a very golden era of that time to build a website development company. We did for things. Then in my fourth year, I started is 24/7style.com, which is an e-commerce company, something similar to Nykaa.
Nykaa.
We raised like a crore, and then in 2013, it eventually, had to shut down. But what happened, interestingly, is that during those 3-4 years in IIT, right, the culture of entrepreneurship was growing. Then some of this probably pushed me to think of entrepreneurship as full time and not, let's say, go and sit for the placements. Of course, we got the placement, but we didn't choose that.
You chose not to take the placement up and you chose to start up instead. Yeah. But let's talk about how Atomberg happened. And there was no story at that point in time on why Atomberg became Atomberg. Now you ascribe meaning to it, but back then it was just a cool name, right?
Yeah. I think final year idea was to get into something entrepreneurship, and I got placed, by the way, in ISRO as a scientist. And being a government job background and farming background, my parents were very happy that you should definitely go and join ISRO as scientist. And I lied to them, and I had no other job. I lied to them that I got an extension and I can join back ISRO after 1 year. And I assumed that some magical will happen in 1 year. Right? Nothing happened. We were in a more poorer situation. We got into some chawl outside IIT-Bombay campus and started some activities. That time, what idea to start, it was not clear. We just wanted to jump into entrepreneurship. So that was, some craziness. People first identify an idea, then they start. So we jumped into entrepreneurship, and then we were like, let's discover, what we can do. And we reached out to some of the colleges and research institutes, including IITs, BRC, DRDO, Indian Navy, and got some projects from them to survive. And that's how we got into data acquisition, development, motor designs, electronic design. But all of that was a kind of a project. We were not able to scale anything. And Shibam was also my chawl mate. He was also, joined me soon in the chawl. We had a lot of stories of failures, almost 5 to 6 ideas we failed. From 2011, I graduated till 2015. So we would have experimented many ideas, 5 to 6 ideas. Even our incubation center was worried that you guys are always coming up with some new idea. One day...
It doesn't work.
It work, yeah.
Right, so we were losing our credibility every time.
And then the Eureka moment happened while you were sitting in your chawl and looking up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then what?
If I remember, some in 2014, right? And it was a Sunday afternoon, and me and Manoj were actually lying down on the bed. There was no actually bed, it was like just a mattress, on the floor. We just had a good time, one glass of beer, both of them, right? And discussing about what else we can do, right? And we were just looking up, and it was somewhere in December, right? So the season was not very hot, not very cold, right? And Manoj said, why don't you just go and change the regulator, right? Reduce the speed. And I was saying, no, why don't you go? Right? And that is the time when you started saying, why don't you have a smart fan, right? Why just can we control everything from phone, right? That was the time when home automation was picking up, right? That was the point where, we figured out that why there was no innovation in fan, right? Why we are still seeing the same fan since decades.
Yes.
Right? And then Manoj went back, did some work. I think, he did a lot of groundwork there. And he came out with this, few companies, and they figured out that we can do a lot more beyond smartness.
Yeah, so it started with the idea of doing a smart fan, but then it became more about efficiency and how you can actually save money for the consumer. And that became the big Eureka moment for you, right?
Yeah. See, when we got into deep research, we studied what has been done in the industry, and we were stunned to see that no innovation has happened for last 50 to 60 years. It was decades
old. These companies have been around for the last 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah. And all of them are running on induction motor technology. It is called single-phase induction motor technology. And Nikola Tesla would have invented that almost 100 years back. Still people are using it. But with time, technology has changed a lot.
Yeah.
You have electrically commuted motors. And BLDC is a family of electrically commuted motors. With that,
There, now we're decoding BLDC, which makes Atomberg the fan that it is. Okay.
yeah, that our experience of 6-time failures, it was actually helping us this time, because BLDC motor is primarily motor design, electronic design, algorithm design.
So it's not that you designed the BLDC. I mean, just to make it clear to everybody else, that was not the innovation. The innovation was to actually use BLDC in a fan which hadn't been done before. That was what they did differently. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the challenge was making it affordable and making it meaningful for an application like fan. So we made a prototype, made a small prototype maybe in only 3 months' time because of our past learnings. And we discovered that we are consuming only 28 watts power.
As opposed to 70, 75,
78.
which others were. Yes.
Right, so it's almost 40 watt difference, almost 1/3 in terms of power consumption. So that was a Eureka moment for us. It will make sense to somebody. These savings will make sense to somebody. Let's discover who are those guys.
You had the hardest time raising funds when you actually had a product out in the market, when you were getting consumer love, you were getting good reception in the marketplace. How do you explain that?
The common questions are, right? All they appreciated, you have shown good skills on executions, right? You have built a product. You have built a basic manufacturing setup without having any knowledge of manufacturing. You have done the digital distribution. But now that you want to build a consumer brand, right?
Yeah.
In 2018, where 70% of our business was B2B.
Yeah.
And remaining 99% was online. But our future of 5 years at that time was that we'll be probably 90% consumer, right? From 30 to 90 shift. And within 90, we wanted to have like 60% of offline and maybe 35% of online.
So
right?
they didn't want you to go B2C and they didn't want you to go offline.
Yeah, so they're saying that how will you build that? They're saying that you can't scale up without getting into these things.
Yeah.
But how will you do that? And how will you compete with, let's say, the larger balance sheet-led companies, right? And their question is, fine, they don't have technology today, and probably they're also ignoring us today. Now, what if the moment you start getting some traction in offline, or let's say in a consumer brand, what if they all of a sudden, just get very
also
excited
do a BLDC fan.
and do a BLDC fans, and they will just, then they will just crush you with their distribution and brand muscle.
And that's a real concern. That's a real fear. How did you take that on?
See, one of the thing, and it was a very common question from all our investors, but we have interacted with some of our competition, people, and we learned that a lot of is linked with the DNA. These are incumbent brands surviving for last 50-60 years. They have their own style of working, and appreciating a new technology is a little harder for them. They knew that new brand has come. They were observing us. We only have BLDC as an option. They have induction motor as a main option. BLDC was optional to them. Other brands ignored that BLDC could
make a dent.
And it also demanded a lot of, I would say, muscle around R&D, because out of a sudden, you need a different type of talent. For example, in BLDC motor, you definitely need a motor technology within the team. You need a lot of motor designer. You need electronic designing, programming. So motor design, electronic design, and programming, all of that become a new thing to them. And I tell you why it was more challenging for them. For last 50-60 years, you have been making the same motor.
Yeah.
So there was no motor development. And whenever there are new technology coming, you definitely need a right talent in place who can take care of that. A right leadership who believe that this technology could survive and create a disruption. So it is a blind faith a lot of time, which I think Atomberg had, in leadership of Atomberg had. Eventually today, when we look back, we realize that we have built a good amount of capability in terms of infra, in terms of team, skill, talent. All that was fairly important for BLDC to transform and meet the aspirations of consumer. I think today competition definitely tried to mimic, try to copy, but that newness and differentiation doesn't come, because we are always thinking from inside out. We are always trying to decode BLDC, how better we can leverage BLDC next year.
You said the competition now does not ignore you, clearly. It sometimes mimics you. It sometimes copies what you're doing as well. Has it also attempted to buy you out?
Look, I think Yes, we got an offer. I will not take the name of the company that offered
Okay.
us, but it's a large company today. They offered us what I think, if I remember, the enterprise value of 1 crore. And
How far back was this?
it was 2017. Yeah.
2017,
Yeah.
an EV of 1 crore.
Yeah,
Okay.
EV of 1 crore, and of course a loyalty of 25 rupees a fan
Huh.
on every fan that they sell in their brand name, and we become the technology partner, right? Yeah, we thought it's stupid. So, yeah, we got that offer, and after that, I think in the last couple of years, some conversation has happened. But it's not only about M&A. I think the way we think about this is that there is a larger mission that we have, right? I mean, today Atomberg is not only known for, let's say, fans or appliances, but it also inspired a lot of startups to start hardware companies, to start engineering companies, right? There's a lot of examples that I see that, they want to build Atomberg of, X, Y, Z categories, right? And that makes us feel good. I think it's a responsibility for us to now, how do we, take this platform and really shape the future, right? And I think an M&A now at this stage now is probably not going to help us live that dream. So I think
So an IPO then is the most likely option?
Of course, we have not officially declared it, but we are internally planning about to start process. Next year, sometime later, next year, we will definitely planning to hit. Yeah, so that is a good option. And which Shivam mentioned, today we feel a sense of responsibility. Whatever we have created so far, it is really important to take it to the next level, not only in fan, but success in the other product categories. And very recently we introduced a lot of new product as well. Again, same kind of differentiation and journey we are trying to create again with mixers, grinders, with water purifiers. Today we have very strong portfolio of smart devices. An idea is to make lifestyles of consumer better.
As now this consumer tech platform that is using engineering to solve everyday problems, there's a whole bunch of categories that you've gotten into. How do you ensure that you don't spread yourself too thin? How do you ensure that you keep the newness and the relevance alive while you also sort of broad base yourself?
Almost 10 years back, motor was the only tech we had. But today I am very happy that we have a lot of tech platforms. Motor is one, electronics is another, IoT is third, where we are talking about connected devices, machine learning, artificial intelligence. Then we are talking about color, material, finish. It is very, very important for a consumer brand. How you are working on new materials, colors. Material engineering itself is a huge vertical.
Yeah.
And there is a team, we called it industrial design team. The industrial design team is responsible to understand consumer insights, understand what is happening across other categories. May not be appliances. What is happening in appliances? What is happening in EVs? What is happening in space? What is happening in the interior furniture? What is the taste of new consumer? And that also different geographies might have different taste. And different maybe middle class, upper middle class, maybe in the price segment also the tastes are different. The premium segment, we are celebrating matte finish first time, because a lot of people who are buying little expensive product, their interior might be matte, maybe different taste of the Indian consumer. A lot of insights are behind whatever we are producing now. And all these things makes you ensure that you are able to differentiate your product all the time. Because we are differentiating it, not sake of differentiation, but meeting the aspirations and consumer delight and improving experience again and again and surprising them again and again.
It's surprising them again and again. I think what has also been surprising about your story is the fact that you decided to manufacture your products yourself. You've got a facility in Chakan, in Pune, where you're actually producing everything that you make. How many units of fans do you produce now in a month? And what's the aspiration in terms of being able to grow that from here?
See, manufacturing is something we had to get into, right? When we got into BLDC motor, we were not able to find the right ecosystem of components, and we ended up building our own capacities in-house, building the manufacturing lines. And the first set of product we were assembling, Shivam was doing the bearing press in the motor.
I think I remember that day we are doing this assembly in the night, and the next day morning we actually took an Toyota Etios to deliver those fans
to the consumer.
to a school.
Right.
So we actually ship that ourselves. Anyway.
And the night there was no light.
Yes,
so we turn on
literally switch on the
torch.
the mobile torch for like half an hour.
So that was our first big shipment of 500 units to a B2B client. So that's how journey started. We burned our fingers in, winding the motor, assembling it by our own hand. So we understood the pain. Today we have 2 manufacturing plants in Chakkal, and with a capacity of 1 million fans a month, and almost producing 5 to 6 lakh units a month in current scenario. So when you're building a new technology, it is coming up with its own challenges of manufacturing and building the supply chain ecosystem. And that is other competitive advantage we have, that we kept building the processes and manufacturing automation ourselves. So whatever you see in our manufacturing plant, it is designed and developed by our own engineers. Right? Because those processes were not existing.
Yeah.
It was not like that I could go to some supply chain ecosystem and ask them make the BLDC motor for me. It was not possible to us.
So, you said that your goal was 6 crores, 8 crores. We'll be happy today as you clock a milestone of over 1,000 crore rupees in revenue. You're looking at IPOing next year. What's the new goal?
A lot of things are driven by, again, our why part. That we definitely want to make India a powerhouse of technology. We have certain core capabilities which we have been nurturing for last many years, like motors and controllers. So we want to extend our motors and controllers as a component, for other industries. In those areas, we might not introduce our own product, but the idea is to introduce motor controllers as a product.
So that will be B2B.
That is a B2B, and the idea is to empower others. For example, we already started certain development around air conditioner parts.
Okay.
Motors, controllers, compressor is something which is 100% imported from China currently. So the idea is to localize it, have its own Atmanirbhar, made in India compressor coming from Atomberg. So these are the new challenges.
When are we going to see an Atmanirbhar, made in India compressor from Atomberg?
The first prototype we are aiming next year. We will submit to other OEMs for testing trials.
So you won't actually do the AC, you'll only do the compressor?
Yeah, our compressor will be serving the end consumer at the end of the day eventually.
Right.
And idea is also to participate into space defense areas where the motors are being imported currently. As we speak, we are developing certain motors for drone as an application. So these are certain exciting challenges we have taken. That why don't we, build motor as a product and make it more affordable, localized.
So then that's a new pivot, right? I mean, you're not just consumer appliances and a consumer company at a B2C level. You're talking about now channeling your capabilities and your energies directly selling to OEMs in different sectors, from space to defense to aircons and what have you.
Absolutely.
So will these operate as 2 separate verticals?
I mean, it's a part of the same group only.
Yeah.
Right? But of course, the DNA of both those companies is slightly different. I mean, one is, there are some commonality between both the companies and there are some differences. But at the end, it will be like 2 different entities, but under the same umbrella.
You talk about building this R&D culture within the organization, and that's very core to who you are and what you offer as far as the consumer is concerned. Take me through what it's taken to build that R&D culture. What is the most important aspect to your mind that you've been able to do differently, where you get talent to actually come there, experiment and learn and build?
See, one of the things which we realized and we should all appreciate is that India has very good talent, very smart engineers from different colleges. It is really important for you to find them, and provide them the right platform where you can leverage their engineering, they can celebrate solving the problems. So this is what we have been building all the time. It was not only product development, but it was also development of this platform where we can nurture engineering. So we have been investing on R&D infrastructure.
How much do you spend every year on R&D?
So at the percentage of revenue, if I ask you, right, I think roughly 4.5-5% of our revenue spent.
4.5-5%.
Of our, wow. That's today. Of course, it would schedule come down slightly.
Yeah.
Right, but we spend heavily, and we outspend our competitions on R&D significantly,
Clearly.
both in absolute spend as well as in percentage term spend.
And then we keep building the right culture. The culture of innovation. Innovation is one of the core value, and to nurture innovation, and we.
How do you define innovation?
The innovation is something where you are trying to challenge our conventional technology. You need to think a little different come up with some new ways of solving problem differently. This is what we have been doing. And a larger part of innovation happening at Atomberg is primarily challenging the status quo, identifying better ways of doing things, and you end up building some technologies. But the core is always to solve some problem differently.
Yeah.
And then curiosity is another value which we celebrate. We want people to be super curious, super risk taker, allow them to fail. Failure is very well celebrated at Atomberg. And then we just ask them that you need to be more bullish on your technology, and we are there to support you. It is very important, for us to give them the reason why we exist all the time, because we keep adding a lot of people in our team. We call them atomites, and a lot of atomites are there now working on solving
950 atomites currently working across your facilities.
Yeah. So we keep telling them why we exist. It is really important that they feel motivated from inside. So we tell them that Atomberg has started humbly, right? And with a very lean way, trying to solve problems for consumer. And it has been our mission always that we can improve lifestyles of people in India by technology, right? So that is one thing which give inspiration to people, all of us. It is an emotional feeling.
Yeah.
We tell them that it is our responsibility as an engineer that we keep innovating from India. Let's make a good technology company coming out from India, which can inspire many other hardware companies.
Well, as they say, success happens when opportunity meets capability, and you seem to be at the right place at the right time yet again. But we wish you the very best of luck. Thanks very much for joining us here, coming out of hibernation and speaking to us about the Atomberg story. We wish you the very best of luck for the future and your future plans for diversification. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of the Young Turks Reloaded podcast. If you enjoyed watching that conversation, do send us your feedback, your comments. We always like to hear from you. We'll be back again with more startup stories and entrepreneurship lessons. From all of us here for now, many thanks for watching.